Friends, enemies, boys, girls, meta players, rogue players, Yu-Gi-Oh fans, Yaoi fans, all people out there in this world, let us come together to discuss the finale of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. It has not been an easy journey getting here. It has been a fairly long journey getting here by most modern anime standards, though a shorter journey by Yu-Gi-Oh! Standards. We all have our opinions on what we think of that. But if you'll remember, when we were at this point 2.5 years ago, we were in a much worse state. We were at the tail end of a 8-episode filler finale that came together, brought maybe the most ambitious Yu-Gi-Oh! To the conclusion of a just generic, toothless, bland, happy ending that doesn't give us closure, or when you really think about it, feels that happy. So here we are. Can Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains restore Yu-Gi-Oh! Finales to their greatness? In that the Zexal finale is pretty good. The 5D's finale is a little too cheesy for my taste. The GX finale, I think, is more whatever than anything else. And the DM finale is alright. So, yeah, can this one be in the okay category? And you know what? I think this is a perfectly fine, perfectly competent, well-executed finale. There are issues I have with it, and we will get to that in a little bit. But let us start off with the beginning. Let us start off with what is a very strong opening, a very rock-hard opening. Rock-hard as a Yusaku and I joint erection, because let's be real here. The ending of last episode and the beginning of this episode, this is yaoi bait if I've ever seen it. I remember when Arc 5 was wrapping up, and you had the creepy scientist guy who had 4 cute girls under mind control, and people were like, the hentai writes itself. Oh boy, you did not see anything yet. Oh, Jesus. Okay, all joking aside, I like the idea. I like the idea that Ai is just so desperate for companionship and to not feel lonely that he just wants Yusaku to join him. I think it works on its own. But what I also liked is the way Yusaku answers. You know he's gonna say no. You know he's probably gonna have his big speech where he talks about why this is wrong and why we have to be on our own or whatever. You know it's coming, because God knows the show didn't do a very good job of making you feel like this guy went on a journey. But what I like about this speech is that, well, for starters, the pictures accompanying it. I like that it shows everyone. It's not just Yusaku, it's not just Ai, it's not just Revolver or Homura, it's everyone who partook in everything. It's everyone in the story. It's that idea that everyone goes through tragedy, and this is what Yusaku's speech is talking about. Everyone goes through drama, everyone goes through sadness, and it's very easy to do what Yusaku did for a lot of his life, and that is internalize it and feel like you're in this prison, this cage that you can't get out of. Like you're just permanently stuck and you can't really do anything about it. But what Yusaku saw when he met all these people, Aoi, Kusunagi, Go, Revolver, Homura, what he saw was pain is universal. We all go through tragedy, we all go through sadness, we all have bad things happen. Rather it's extreme as being kidnapped and tortured, or losing your parents at a young age, or even if it's just like dealing with a complicated family life, or having just, you get my point. My point is that we all go through pain, and how we get through it is that we learn to share it with others, and we learn to put ourselves out there and take risks with other people. And that's what Yusaku's trying to tell Ai, and what I kind of like is that even though Ai understands this, Yusaku kind of can't reach him. This doesn't feel like the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! That would have the sappy friendship speech fixes everything, and it doesn't. Ultimately, Ai still feels like the only real solution for him is to die. And the show plays this up as maybe that isn't necessarily the right solution, but it's just the very sad reality he came to. And the finale is not afraid to really focus on that. That final scene with Yusaku and Ai before Ai passes away is completely just based around the idea that, well, this was just sad. There is no real happiness, there is no joy, but what happiness or joy is there to it? It's just a very sad finale to a character who saw no other way out. Like that flashback, like the flashback of Ai's simulation where Yusaku ultimately dies defending him. Like, you think about it from the perspective of Ai has probably had that scene playing over in his head over and over again. Like, what the idea of losing the one person you feel like you care about can really do to somebody, I could totally understand that. And showing it very about as brutal as Yugioh can get, just like Yusaku being murdered in front of him, like, I really get how that pushed him to this point. As for the duel itself, I liked it. I thought the finale was kind of what you expected. In a world where Yusaku was either going to get another Firewall Dragon or another Code Talker, I guess at this point, another Code Talker made more sense. Also, we just got a Firewall thing. What I sort of like about this last guy is that he kind of, at least to me, looked like a cross between Firewall Dragon and the Code Talkers. Like, it felt like the aesthetic kind of had some, like, the white armor, the circles, all that stuff. I don't know. It just kind of felt like, to me, they wanted to make a nice balance. And hey, a removal effect is always nice, and it makes sense in the Code Talker deck. So, all in all, yeah, that I liked. I think we all kind of expected the final clash had to come down to Decode Talker versus Templar. My one gripe, and a lot of people have pointed this out, this kind of did feel beat for beat like the Yuma versus Ryoga final match from Zale, which is done much better. But yeah, no, I think the duel is fine. I think it's a good finale. I think that aspect of the finale is good. I like Ai falling. I like Yusaku holding him. I like the shot in the sun with all the robots. It's just got this sad, haunting feeling to it that I think does a good job of giving it its own feel from the other finales, and also feeling like kind of a conclusion that made sense for a Yu-Gi-Oh! That, at least on the surface, felt like it wanted to have some maybe more darker themes and talk about human and technology integration. I like that idea that the Ignises were just as flawed as the humans they were based on, and ultimately it was their own, like, human beliefs and the way they sort of thought like us that resulted in their own destruction. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. But yeah, no, and yeah, then we move on to the epilogue, and in the same way this final duel felt like a Zale ripoff, this final 5-minute epilogue felt like a bad 5Ds ripoff. We get our final shots of everybody. Everyone online is making fun of the fact that Aoi says, "I did nothing." I mean, yeah, kind of. I liked Aoi. I thought her stuff was interesting on its own, but yeah, it's just kind of its own weird separate thing, and Go has a happy ending, which pissed a lot of people off, because a lot of people really hated him at the end there. Emma and Blood Shepherd's finale is cute, if not a little redundant. What else was there? Seeing that Revolver and his group of weird Guardian sidekick people are going to protect Vrains on one end of it, and you also have Akira on the other end protecting it. That's nice. That's its own good little thing. And then we move on to Homura and his girlfriend in a scene that sort of intentionally feels like it's kind of a sex joke. I like that. That was cute. Their little back and forth, her going to Vrains. I feel like if Soulburner still wants to keep his identity secret, don't have your girlfriend in there just looking like herself. But it is what it is. One final shot of the stupid comic relief sidekicks. I kind of wish Naoki had more screen time. I think he'd be a better comic relief sidekick than the stupid frog and the pigeon. But the one I meant in the 5Ds ripoff is that I really hated it in the 5Ds finale, how everyone's, like, talking and fetishizing Yusei. Like, oh, he was so amazing. Oh, he's so perfect. Oh, this, oh, that. I hate that. I hate that in finales, especially in shows where a big theme is friendship and the idea of sharing yourself. And I understand from a narrative perspective, I could totally see the concept that after everything that happened, Yusaku needs a few months alone. He needs to get his head straight. He needs to understand where his life is going. I feel like if you're going to do the big speech about why having friends is important, having your final shot be you alone does not actually do that justice, in my opinion. And then it's just like everyone's like, he'll return, he'll return, he'll return. Fuck you all. Fuck all y'all. You all got ruined because of Yusaku. And that's like, yeah, his final shot is this weird thing of just like, into the frames, because the actor probably is also not getting paid anymore, like half the staff. And then he just kind of jumps into the Vrains, and we get a final shot of what I think at this point is the most hated protagonist. I'm seeing a lot of the blame for the show be put on him. We'll discuss this probably next week. But yeah, there's that. And then one last ambiguous shot of in his original form we knew him as the weird little testicle thing. As he's just like, huh? What? Where am I? What does this mean? We'll probably never find out. Just like we'll never find out how all the dimensions still being separated fits in and all the timelines happening together fits in. If the 20th series is what a lot of people think it might be, a big-ass fucking crossover, then maybe. But if it's a big-ass crossover, it's not like you'll have too much time to focus on Yusaku. I don't really know what Series 7 is going to be, and I'm not really interested in talking about it as of right now with no information. I hate being those people who are like, here's my 20th Pokemon Sword and Shield speculation video. Like, no, I'll talk about it when we have actual stuff to talk about it. Just saying, big 20-year anniversary show is not good enough. Also, why have we been doing the 20-year anniversary for like 5 years now? But it's neither here nor there. And I know there's a legit reason that I'll talk about eventually someday. Maybe, I don't know, who cares. But so yeah, is this a good finale? I think overall, yes. I think it does everything it can to bring together what was very clearly a flawed production, a mess of a show, and just an all-in-all not well-executed series. I think it brings it together to a finale that mostly feels earned. I think everything with Ai was done fantastic. I thought there were good character beats overall. I think the resolution is fitting. I just think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains will always be remembered for the very public production issues. It'll always be remembered as the one with like 8 recap episodes. It'll always be remembered as the one with a protagonist where they were very clearly uncomfortable with going as far as you need to with him. And I think all those things is ultimately going to be what we remember in the same way most people remember Arc 5 for the messed up finale. Having said that, however, there are a lot of people, myself included, who have come around to when we think of Arc 5, we think of what worked about it first. We think about what we liked. We think about what we cared about. And maybe that'll happen with Vrains. Because again, it did end strong. The last 12 is great. And I think that there was good stuff throughout. I just kind of wish the good stuff wasn't constantly being interlaced with problems. But so yeah, so basically what I'm saying is Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is a very mixed bag for me. I don't really know where it falls on like best Yu-Gi-Oh!, worst Yu-Gi-Oh! I want to say like below Arc 5, but like above GX, but I don't really. It's kind of a hard thing to think about. But yeah, what did you think in the comments section below? Give me your thoughts one last time on an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. And as for the schedule, so next week, well, it's New York Comic Con, so I'll probably try and get this out earlier in the week. I'm gonna, just like I did with Arc 5, I'll be fair, I'll do the top 5 worst things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and then the following week, top 5 best things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. I want to keep doing at least one Yu-Gi-Oh! Video a week, and I do have some ideas for things to do while we've got some off time. But we will get to that when we get to that. For one last time, because I don't know if in top 10s it really makes sense to do a TCG question of the week, but for the final time, the TCG question of the week. Let's end it off with, it's kind of hard, because I don't know if I should do one about the Vrains era or the new era speculative. No. Let's end this off the right way. What was, because let's be real here, other than Attic Mister, nothing is really coming out super relevant for the game. What was your favorite deck of the whole Vrains era, the past like 2.5 years, all of Link format? What was the deck you enjoyed the most? For me personally, I think I've been digging Thunder Dragon the most. It really combines my love for both fusion summoning and massive nonsense, and also being able to fully take advantage of the link spam mechanic. So yeah, that's just me though. Tell me what you think below, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and enjoy our time to just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Without having to strictly be here every Wednesday.